Website traffic is down, leads are more and more expensive, and buyers are getting their answers from ChatGPT before they ever find you. The world for B2B marketers has changed dramatically, and HubSpot's Loop Marketing Playbook promises to fix all that. In this video, I'm going to take a closer look at the Loop Marketing Playbook, share some of my own observations and some of the questions that I hear coming up in the community, and also share some tips that I think will help you be most successful when you're applying the Loop to your B2B go-to-market. So at Inbound 2025, HubSpot announced the introduction of the Loop Marketing Playbook, saying that it was a new four-stage playbook for success in the AI era. During their on-stage Marketing Against the Grain podcast, Asia Frost and Kip Bodnar, two of the main creators of the Loop Marketing Playbook, talked about how businesses have become more complicated and have more lines of revenue than they used to. And they talked about how the buyer journey is far less linear and far less predictable and far less visible to us than it ever was. Hence, there was a need for a new marketing playbook that built on and adapted the inbound methodology for the modern AI-powered era. Now, we were lucky enough to have Asia Frost on the Demand Decoded podcast recently, link in the comments, and she talked a little bit more in depth about that and also some of the other reasons behind the introduction of the Loop playbook. A critical one being the impact that Google AI overviews was having on blog traffic. HubSpot was very public and very open about the fact that they saw Google AI overviews stealing lots and lots of traffic away from their blog, a very successful blog, as of many businesses. And that was some time ago now already, and that triggered the shift and the start of a movement towards a methodology that helped to protect against that reality. Now we've reached a point where more than 60% of Google searches now result in 0 clicks through to any site, of any kind. So we've come a long way since, and it's now a very dramatic change to the role and purpose of search within the buyer process and journey, and therefore within the B2B marketing playbook. Furthermore, buyer behavior has also drifted. They spend more and more time outside of search in other channels, consuming content in feeds like social, like video on YouTube, in communities like Reddit and Slack. And so search no longer has this dominant force within the B2B go-to-market that the inbound playbook and methodology was so effective at helping people to tap into. AI is a critical factor too. It's come along and simultaneously disrupted both the way in which buyers find and consume content and information, but also how it's created. And so it's critical that businesses embrace this now. And the Loop Marketing Playbook promises to help businesses turn AI from a threat that is robbing traffic away from their blog posts into an advantage and an asset that they can use to compete better and grow better and faster in the modern era, in the era of the AI-powered buyer. So what is the Loop Marketing Playbook and what does it look like? Well, HubSpot describes it as a 4-stage approach that combines AI efficiency and human authenticity to drive growth. And it's a continuous cycle. They've chosen the infinity symbol to convey the fact that this is an ongoing process that you continue to execute over and over again. And I think their choice to use a symbol like this instead of a circle allows me at least to nod to the fact that this is not a prescriptive process, a point we'll come back to in a moment. But first, what are the 4 stages? Stage 1 is Express, and HubSpot describes Express as being where you give AI everything it needs to know to create quality content on your behalf. Some of the important things that HubSpot talks about are knowing your ICP, knowing your value proposition, so that you can guide AI effectively around what you offer and create content that's meaningful for your buyers. It also talks about giving AI a very clear style guide, your tone of voice, your point of view, and also your preferences around how you want to sound, so that when you ask it to produce content on your behalf, you're able to get something out which is incredibly unique to you, reflective of your unique points of view, opinions and products, and also of a very high quality. So Express is about giving AI the ability to create content on your behalf at the right level. Step 2 is Tailor. And Tailor is about tailoring your message to your customers' needs, using unified data, in HubSpot's words, to make content and experiences personal. Some of the things they call out in the Loop Playbook are enriching your data, using sources like Breeze and others to enrich your data, build intelligent audience segments. So, not just grouping people by basic firmographics, but really thinking about how your ICP breaks down into segments, and being able to target them very effectively. And then personalizing, using that information to personalize the content that buyers see when they visit your website. HubSpot and Asia talk a lot about their success personalizing emails. So after generating leads, they're using personalization and AI to personalize the emails they send out with great success. And I think there's things that we can build onto that to be even more applicable in a wide range of cases and more successful. Stage 3 is Amplify. Amplify across channels. HubSpot mentions that this is about making sure you're discoverable across channels and recommended by voices that your buyers trust. And so this speaks to and nods to the fact that SEO and search is far from the only channel now that buyers can be reached in, and written content isn't the only format. So creators producing video on YouTube and in podcast format are having a huge impact on our world, and we can be those creators or we can partner with them. We can distribute our content to social places like LinkedIn and Facebook. We can distribute to YouTube and podcast platforms, communities. There's a whole plethora of channels available to us that we need to be ready to embrace. HubSpot calls out the importance of optimizing your channel mix for your buyer, extracting more value from the content you create by being able to repurpose it efficiently using AI, and then be able to target and reach people intelligently using ads, using partnerships, and using a variety of platforms. And step 4 is evolve. Evolve your strategy and your approach. And this is about really bringing AI into your analytics, so that you're able to test and evolve and iterate quicker. So analytics has always been an important part of campaigning, an important part of marketing, but it's more important than ever to be responsive in real time to early signals and to iterate and update. There are a lot of new frontiers in marketing at the moment, not all of which have been completely figured out, and so it's important too to have a very open mind about testing and failing. So running quick experiments, failing fast, and updating and adapting them. So the evolve step is all about developing the right mindset really, and the right tools and data to be able to iterate quickly as you measure in order to improve your success. Important to say, I think, that Asia Frost confirmed on our podcast that the Loop methodology is not intended to replace inbound per se. It's to build upon it. Inbound was very successful at helping businesses to embrace the idea of creating content that educates, sharing information freely, and creating value for buyers before expecting it back, and using that to generate an inward flow of visitors, leads, or pipeline, depending on your approach. And that's still true. Inbound is still the essence of what loop marketing is intended to drive, which is inward interest, inward approach, and inward inquiry from your ideal customer. So loop marketing does not replace inbound, merely updates and builds upon it for the realities of B2B marketing today. Nevertheless, I think some things are a little unclear or warrant further discussion in order to fully understand and apply the loop successfully, and I believe I'm not alone in having some of these questions, so I thought it'd be useful to go through those. First of all, I think it's really important to highlight that unlike the inbound methodology, which pretty much described a linear buyer journey and a process of marketing that you could apply to it, the Loop Marketing Playbook does not consist of stages. It doesn't consist of stages of the sales process, the buyer journey, the AIDA model. There's no definition of funnel stages there whatsoever, which is a good thing. It's not tactics either, however. Inbound became synonymous, if not prescribed, creating blog posts, landing pages, ebooks, using email to nurture, and so on. Very specific about the tactics you could use, whereas the loop is not. The loop is tactic agnostic and stage agnostic, which I think is essential in this day and age in order to remain relevant as things change as fast as they are currently, and also to be applicable and adaptable to the great variety of businesses that will need to apply it. In years gone by, many businesses could leverage search as a primary channel, but things are different now, and businesses are different in terms of where their buyers are, how they can be reached, and where their opportunities to create results are. So it's no longer sensible for HubSpot to be that prescriptive in what they recommend. Finally, I think the Loop recommends a set of behaviors. If we think about what Express, Tailor, Amplify, and Evolve, sound like, they sound like behaviors. And those behaviors, I think, need to be applied all the way throughout the marketing exercise, and at all times, so that you're always taking the opportunities that AI and data presents in order to be more successful and effective at growing your business. Being able to express yourself through AI is critical at all stages. Tailoring wherever possible, in whatever way possible, is increasingly important. Amplification needs to be ongoing because buyers are in multiple channels, and evolution needs to be constant to keep up with both changes and the results that you see in your data. So the Loop for me is a set of behaviors, not a set of stages or tactics. And when you think like that, I think you can be the most successful with it. As I've said, Loop is not prescriptive about tactics, not prescriptive about the stages where you apply its sections, nor is it channel specific at all. So as I said, in the years gone by, it was a pretty safe bet for the majority of businesses to focus on search, SEO, and then maybe expand out to LinkedIn and a few other common candidates. But in this case, Loop respects and reflects the fact that there are a great many channels out there that different businesses might need to optimize for. One business might need to update their SEO strategy to be an AEO strategy in the future. Another might need to really focus on YouTube video creation or LinkedIn content for social. And others might need to employ events or different channels. So Loop is very intentionally channel and tactic agnostic, allowing you to apply it to the things that make most sense in your market and for your buyer. Something that I think is missing from the Loop playbook is a specific call out to where content is created and how. I think it's implied in everything that's said about the Loop, and indeed everything that's going on in the world of marketing today, but it isn't specified clearly. Asia and I discussed this on the Demand Decoded podcast, and she confirmed that the thinking behind it is that most content creation will take place at the Express stage, which shouldn't come as a surprise because that's where we talk about telling AI how to create content for us. So the notion behind Loop is that you will use AI extensively to create content efficiently and at scale within the Express stage, informed by the ICP information that you've provided, the brand, style guide, tone of voice, etc., etc. And so it can produce the content for you that you need. I, however, think I'm going to take a slightly different approach, which is to say that I will create content whenever and wherever I need to in order to achieve the aims of the stage that I'm trying to apply. So, for example, a lot of content will be created at the Express stage because it's part of the content library that we know we need to build. But as we go into Tailor or into Amplify, I might need different content or new content or repurposed content. So I will allow myself, I think, to produce content using AI again in order to properly amplify across certain channels or in order to personalize it to certain buyers. So something Asia said to us on our podcast was, don't think linearly, think continuously, think agilely, and so you can apply any stage whenever you need to. And I think that also carries over to content creation. Create it when and how you need to, but within the spirit of the Loop marketing playbook, which is use AI to do it efficiently, in line with your style and tone and requirements, tailor it where possible, and amplify as you need. In the Loop process, which is ordered, Express, Tailor, Amplify, Evolve, I initially thought that Tailor and Amplify could have been organised the other way around. And Asia confirmed that that is indeed something that's been discussed. And since the loop is not intended to be thought of in a purely linear fashion, it's not something you need to be too worried about. But my reasoning was simply because more and more B2B research is done in the dark. Buyers are remaining anonymous to us until far later in the sales process, and really only converting on our website when they're ready to talk to our sales team, and most of the decision is made. This is a trend that's been developing for a long time. So if you think about Amplify as being how you reach buyers in anonymous channels like AEO, LinkedIn, etc., then Amplify has to come before you can have a lead in your CRM to which you can personalize individually. So when HubSpot talks about personalizing emails to the individual, that's only possible after you've got that lead in your CRM and you're able to use the tools within HubSpot to do so. Something that I think you can think about, however, is in addition to amplifying to reach your anonymous buyers and to influence and educate them where they are without forcing them to convert necessarily, you can also tailor not just to the individual where it's possible, for example in email, but you can also tailor to your segments and to your personas within your ICP. So tailoring can apply at a number of levels and might apply in content that you then amplify because you're going to be personalizing to the segment that you're going to be targeting, but it can also apply to the individual. So think about amplify and tailor in whatever order you need to. Don't feel that you've got to tailor content before you amplify it specifically, because that's not the intention of HubSpot with the Loop Playbook. It's a guide to help you adopt the right behaviors. So what does it take to be successful with a marketing playbook that is channel, tactic, and segment or stage agnostic? I think these are some things to think about. First of all, everything starts with your strategy. To be successful with loop marketing, and indeed with any marketing, you need to know your ICP very, very, very well and very clearly. You need to know your positioning in their market very clearly, and you need to know where you will play, as in what you will do and won't do in order to reach, influence, and convert them when applying the Loop Marketing Playbook. So without your strategy, the Loop Marketing Playbook doesn't provide a guide how to go to market. But with your strategy in place, Loop shows you the way to optimize your go-to-market for the era we're in, the modern era of AI-powered buyers and AI-powered marketers. Secondly, it's critical to pick your channels and to optimize for them. So as we've discussed, your buyers are active in more channels than ever before, many more than just search, and you need to identify which ones are going to be right for your business. So in addition to search of old, we've got AEO at our disposal, we've got social, we've got podcasts, we've got video. All are growing in relevance and within different sectors having a different degree of impact. Your message needs to be invisible in the channels that your buyers are using. So you need to identify where they spend their time, where they can be reached and influenced, and plan to create and amplify content to those channels. A tip from us is that if you begin the content creation process in video format by recording videos for your audience, you gain the most repurposability. You get the most ROI out of that content creation. HubSpot talks about extracting more and more value out of content through the Loop Marketing Playbook, and I couldn't agree more. And if you begin by recording a video, you have at your disposal video footage for YouTube and for advertising on certain platforms. You have access to audio for your podcast and other uses. You have access to transcripts with which to drive AI content creation for other places and other platforms. So it's an exceptionally strong way to begin the content creation process when applying loop marketing. And then you need to really look at your website and how it converts. One of the impacts of AI and one of the things that Loop addresses is the fact that websites are going to get far less visits in the future because so many questions will be answered by AI and so much research will be done before a website visit is generated. The effect of that is that everybody that does visit your website is more valuable to you than ever before. The number will be far lower, but the degree to which they're qualified, good fit in your ICP is much increased. And we're already seeing signs that conversion rate from visits from AI engines are more likely to convert, roughly 4 times more likely to convert. However, you play a role in that too. You need to optimize your website to convert those visitors ahead of everything else. It's no longer acceptable to allow a website experience to drift away from, providing an optimum UX for conversion and wasting hundreds and hundreds of visits every month. So look at your website's user experience, remove anything that's superfluous, research best practice in this area, and maximize your conversion rate to ensure that the work you do with loop marketing produces the most pipeline for you. And finally, we're going to need to rethink measurement. By use of AI and social radically changes what we can measure and what we can see and what we can't. More and more research, as we've said, is performed in the dark, and Gartner has produced research to back that up too. Impressions are increasingly diverging from clicks, meaning the measurability of things is less and less relevant in some areas, and it's important therefore that you dial down the importance of keyword positions, add click-through rate, traffic and leads in your dashboards, and you dial up the understanding that you have of engagement, of share of voice, of branded search, of high intent leads and cost to acquire customers, as these are things that are correlated with the good marketing that Loop Playbook can help you to achieve. So there we have it. That's a little overview of the Loop Marketing Playbook, some of the questions that I think will be most common as people try to understand and apply it, and some of the tips that I think will make you most successful when deploying Loop Marketing within your go-to-market.